So describing that deployment process for Island, how does that compare to other technology or security products that you've worked on in your career?
Well, let's start with the POC, just to explain the simplicity of this. At every company I've worked at up to this point, we would engage with the customer, we'd get them to agree to a POC, and we'd say, hey, listen, we're going to set up next Thursday and Friday. We're going to come to your office and we're going to spend the day or half a day or however long setting the product up for the POC. That can be grueling. A lot of times that is multiple days. And with Island, I literally just ask for an hour from your team. I ask for an hour and I literally hand you the browser installer. You install it in a matter of 30 seconds. And I show you the management console, give you your access to your tenant. And I spend about 45 minutes teaching you how to use that. And the remainder of that time is answering questions, but usually about an hour we can accomplish that. And but the POC, you can extrapolate that out into the simplicity of kind of the rest of the process. Relative to other things I've worked with, the one great thing about what we do is we interact with the users in a unique way like no other security product. So I can invoke things where the user gets value out of leveraging Island from a productivity standpoint, from a user experience standpoint. That's quite important because the user gets value from Island in the process. But the second part is because it's a user experience, the user that's based on Chromium, they don't have to be trained. So again, there's no fear factor involved in using it. Unlike a lot of security tools that get a bad rap in many cases, but they impede the business. There's a philosophy we have in how we build Island. We refer to it as security by design. It's the idea that many other security products in the industry are bolted on the existing infrastructure. And so as a bolt-on, they impede the natural flow of how way people work. In many cases, less than par, so, a subpar user experience, less than reasonable user experience. And with Island, security by design means the security is just built into the natural workflow of the user. And so as a result, the user gets to work a lot more freely, a lot more fluidly with the natural motion they would otherwise without the being impeded by the security controls.
And when you describe that lightweight deployment, it sounds like it's really this is a low risk deployment. You're not really forcing a big change on your environment as you roll this thing out. You mentioned the other about the customer who was rolling out the browser during their most busy sales process.
Yeah, that's a great example of one where the right planning went into it, but again, it still did not take away from the elegance and the simplicity of what we're doing with Island, but yet the power of it. Quite often, other customers, they may say, we're going to deploy you and we're going to make it optional for users and let users get comfortable. And we can live alongside Chrome and Edge, and users can go back and forth. But even in those cases, very often the users launch our browser and never stop using it. So the rollouts can be a very frictionless process for our customers. It's one of the least painful things that I've done in my career.
You've rolled out different security products in your career. What makes Island different? How is this deployment model different or unique from other security products?
To begin with, it's easy. I think that kind of differentiates itself right out of the gate. When we talk about things like just the POC process, many times in my past, I would try to set time up with a customer and say, listen, we'll come to your office on Thursday. We'll be there at 8 a.m. We're going to take probably the full day, so be prepared for that. We would set up a POC, usually in a lab environment, because we couldn't put it in production because it was too invasive. It might impact the users, the real business. That was the difficult conversation in many cases. In our environment, I literally say, listen, I need an hour from you. I'm going to give you a browser. You'll install it on your desktop. I'll give you access to the management console. We'll spend an hour of that time installing a browser in about 30 seconds, setting up a few basic policies in the management console, and you'll be off and running. You can, in a POC, use it as you choose. You can use it against your critical applications, and no one else has to use it, so nobody's impacted, but you get to see how it works in the real environment. But that same type of simplicity applies throughout the process. And again, when we break it down to its most simple form, we're deploying a browser. And most organizations have deployed a browser in some fashion or form. Even individuals have installed browsers. The least technical among us have installed browsers. So the process is super simple on that front. And the intricacies of understanding your business, understanding your workflows and your use cases are where we spend our time, because of the fact we're engaging with your critical applications and protecting those critical resources. We want to understand that well so you can get the maximum value from what we deliver.